Hi guys, this is Hell Hades. This is going to be another raid Shadow Legends video. Before we get into the video, I want to ask you to do three things. I am now officially on Twitter. I'm going to put the link to my Twitter below. I've got a couple of people managing my kind of social media, and we're going to be putting out like blasts from the past, cool old videos, some memes, that type of stuff, and just generally have different avenues of getting in contact with me. I have got a Facebook page, which I will link below. Come and join us on Facebook as well in my official Facebook page. Again, we're trying to grow that. The last thing I'm going to ask is, if you are not a subscriber to my channel, which is about half of you watching right now, then please hit the subscribe button. I am pushing to see if I can get 100,000 subs in my first year on YouTube. I've got a good old chunk of the way still to go, so I'd appreciate any support on that sub button. Please do it. I appreciate it. Anyway, let's get into the video. Guys, we are going to do a video on one of the champions which has been recently buffed, Abbess. I had Abbess for a long time, played her pre-buff, and basically she went into my team when I first got her, but she wasn't playable. The main reason she wasn't playable is because one of her really important skills, AoE decreased defense, did not land on all the enemies. It landed on like 50%, booked it up to 75%, which meant that Warmaiden, a farmable rare, became an easily better champion for that job. However, she could always hit kind of hard. She always had a reasonable kit in terms of damage, and they've buffed her AoE decreased defense now to be bookable to 100%, which is perfect. This is a massive change. It means that she's viable in all content that she's available in for this kind of move, decreased defense. And AoE decreased defense is one of the most important moves in the game. So this becomes brilliant. She's then got a buff on her A3 as well. Now her A3 could already do some damage, but deals an extra 30% crit damage if the target's attack is highest, or ignores 30% of the target's defense if the target's defense is highest. So basically, if she's hitting an attack-based champion, she's going to smack them for an extra 30 crit damage. And if she's hitting a tank, she's going to ignore a chunk of their defense. That's a brilliant skill now. That is a brilliant skill. And I honestly think she's going to kind of climb up the ranks a bit in the meta. So I built her in Savage gear. We've gone for a high offensive build. Savage with 92% crit rate. It's a bit low. I'd like it to be 100. My Savage gear is not good enough. I've got 188 speed. I've got the accuracy in there to make sure that she can land her A2 ability, that drop defense. We've got high attack, and then we've got reasonable other stats. I've actually gone for crit damage on the gloves, attack percentage on the chests, and attack percentage on the boots. This is a high-end build, apart from that crit rate little blip. But most people would run speed on the boots, HP percentage on the chest, and probably crit damage or crit rate on the gloves, depending on how good your gear is. So this is the gear I've gone for. I have got her booked out. She needs to be booked out really on this A2 if you want to get the best out of it. And the rest of the stuff really is just kind of booking out for damage. So that's down to whether you want to do that. She does have this kind of cool A1 as well. Removes one debuff from her, place it on the target. This is pretty good for like stuff like Dragon, if you want to throw a weaken back at the Dragon or the poison back at the Dragon, stuff like that. In terms of masteries then, I've gone for an offensive build. This is like an arena stroke dungeon build. Can be used for faction wars as well. So we've gone for that arena style nuke strat. Crit damage, more damage if you've got high HP. More damage on your first smack, and then down into Helm Smasher, which is easily the best skill if you want to do damage. And then we've done kind of like this accuracy build, and then a chance to put more drop defense on people. You could easily go defensive build, but this is kind of probably more of a standard build that most would take. And this A1 here is good for dropping that turn meter as well. Let me just move me a second so you can see it properly. There we go. Take your screenshots. It will be in my tier list. For those that don't know, my tier list has got an update. All of these mastery sets that I run, all of my gear sets will be screenshotted now in my tier list. Okay, so let's get into showing her some content. So for Abbess then, I'm going to start with an area which I think she was originally like best in class for. In fact, I'm going to show you Force Keep first. Force Keep, she's insane for. She's like top-notch Force Keep. Let's just throw her in this. Basically, because she's got decreased defense ability, she is going to be able to come in and do the work that you need to do on the boss. This boss, albeit is easy anyway, but some people are going to be struggling if you maybe you got Abbess quite early. Obviously, my ethos doesn't really want to show you the waves. But yeah, so basically we get the Impale there. See, she does decreased defense as a default move, unless decreased defense is already on. And then she comes in and slams with her second hit, which is like a 50k hit. Good damage on all of those skills. But for the Force boss in particular, drop in defense massively helps you take him down fast. But let's get into some of the stuff that she's actually meant for. So, Dragon. I think she's one of the best decreased defense champions for Dragon now in the game. Not by Stoffers. What I'm going to do first, actually, on Dragon is just show you how hard she can now hit. So we're going to bring in... This is like my cast for how hard can I get someone to hit. Now, I've changed it up. It's basically he boosts damage, he drops defense and weakens, and then she comes in. I just need an increase attack champion as well to make it as brutal as it possibly can be. Where are you, my RB? Okay, so this is literally just going to be about how much damage can she do. Simple as that. I did the same test when we got the buffs on Candrathon. Candrathon was actually slamming the way for like 200k, which is massive damage. So we're gonna get this damage up here on everyone. We've got 3 poisons on us. They've got poisons on them, which means we get 20% extra damage here, 22.5% extra damage here. We've got increased attack on. We've got decreased defense and weaken on everywhere. Let's go for A3. Ooh, what's that? 130, depends on Helm Smasher procs. Between 130 and 220k damage. Pretty juicy damage. So let's just pop ourselves through these. Now let's see what her decreased defense ability does in terms of damage. This is like more like a standard what we're going to be seeing. So 30 to 50k across the board. I'm well geared. I am well geared here. But 30 to 50k across the board for damage. 60k on the A1 for damage. And that's without all the crazy buffs and stuff going on. Going to lose our Draco here. I'm sure RB will pick him back up. And then, boom, sit down, fellas, in the waves. So, I mean, she has got a smack on her. She drops that defense again for us. And then RB throws the weaken out. And at this stage, really, her job is done. Like, she will hit hard, 76k, that's a big old hit. She can hit hard, but it's more about 99k for an A1. It's more about here just dropping defense and retaliating any debuffs that get put on us like this. See, we've got debuffs on us now. Our next A1, if it is an A1, she'll throw one of those debuffs back. So she would have put a poison back on there. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you'll get the weaken to go back on. That's actually a really good mechanic for her on Dragon. It's a shame it's only one of the debuffs that gets removed, but hey, what are you going to say? So she kicks out good damage for dungeon content, like 1.8 mil there versus a Draco's 1.5. I did kind of load her up for the damage though. So for Dragon, she is insanely good. Drops defense for you and does some slam damage. Let's check her out in Ice Golem. Ice Golem, she's the weak affinity for. So, quite frankly, unless you don't have another decreased defense, it's probably not her place. In fact, it's not her place. Because she doesn't have enough self-protection to just run any old dungeon. She doesn't have it. You've got the same issue, actually, with Spider. So, she can be your decreased defense, but the sort of build that I've got here will not work. She would have to be very, very tanky, which kind of defies what she's there to do. So for me, she's not really a great Spider champion anyway. She could certainly come in and drop defense for you and then let your Cold Hearts rip it apart. But you'd need a lot more protection in your team. She would not be a good Spider tank. Also, on Spider 20, she'll get a load of weak hits. That being said, if you're working your way up like Spider 5 through to 17, 18, she'll be quality in terms of nuking down the waves. You know, if you were earlier game like 16, 17, and you wanted her to come in and just do damage, because you really want AoE damage at that stage, then yeah, she could come in and do a bunch of AoE damage. I've got her on the weak affinity again. That was a terrible selection, but you'll see anyway. She can come in and on any of her non-weak hits here, she'll hit hard. Yes. And earlier level Spider, it's more about killing the Spiderlings all the time. See that? Cracking through them and getting the job done that way. But the later game Spider you get to, the more you actually need to control the Spiderlings, pull them into a tank and all that type of stuff. Well, she's not going to be your person for that. That's not going to be her job. She's just too squishy, and yeah, you'd have to build a really completely counter what a build should be. So if we think about think about Fire Knights. Fire Knights, she can come in and be your decreased defense champ. So she can come in and do that job. What else we got going on here? So she can double up. If you had like 2 decreased defense champs, like I've got in this build, she could do decreased defense on one of the waves and nuke on the other wave. So depending on who you've got faster, just slow it down. We get decreased defense out here. As long as decreased defense is everywhere, she will bring her slam damage. Slam damage comes in. See you later, fellas. You're all dead. So she does that work there. And then for wave 2, she'll actually revert back to her A2 and she'll put on the decreased defense for you. So her AI is actually pretty good. Her AI is better than most, let's say. So because she's done that, she'll get back to her main abilities and, you know, she'll get her damage off, which is nice. Now, on the boss, though, she's only got single hit. Everything she does is single hit, so she's not going to be like a crazy good champion. I don't even know if I've got enough hits in this team to take this boss out, to be honest. The only way I get enough hits is if we get a Heartseeker off right now. Oh, we do. Okay, so maybe we got a good chance. The other thing with Fire Knight is, you know, if you get to this stage and you're on the boss, if he puts decreased speed on you, she can transfer that back to the boss with her A1. So, you know, part of that mechanic there where you're transferring the buffs, she actually does that really well. She will be good for a faction war team. Decreased defense on an AoE, I said it in my faction war video, is one of the best skills out there. So, you know, to have that readily available in a faction war team is huge. It's a huge ability, especially now she does it as 100% AoE. Oh, that's nice. So for a faction war team, I don't know what faction war it is. Let me just check. I might be able to show you. No, I can't. But she's in my faction war team anyway. She was before. Now she's like high. One of the best in the faction for faction wars. I mean, if we actually take a look at the faction, Venus and her are the only 2 AoE decreased defense champions in the whole game for Sacred Order. So she would need to be in your team. You might just need to build her with a slightly tankier build than I've got. So more HP, perhaps lifesteal set if you're struggling to get through the waves. Okay, so for Clan Boss, unless you're very early game, she's not going to be in your team. She brings decreased defense. That is it. She throws back the debuff that lands on you with her A1 is okay, but she's not a Clan Boss champion. It's not where she's meant for. She's a dungeon champion, faction war champion, and arena champion. And I think actually she'll also be really strong for Doom Tower when it comes through. So we're going to jump into the arena now. This is probably where she's got the most potential. Especially if you're kind of like lower in the arena, then she can come on and do a ton of work for you. But she can be built in 2 ways. So she can either be like your decreased defense champion leading into your damage, or she could be your damage champion. So if you had a different decreased defense, and the fact that she can be both means that actually you've got a lot of options in the style that you can build her. So she can come in here, she gets protected, she gets her increased attack. I don't have the speed tune well, as you can see. Let's make sure he doesn't ruin my day. So we get our decreased defense down. Speed people up. And she has then got the A3 here, which is going to do more damage, and it'll do a ton of damage whether they're tanks or whether they are attack-based champions. So this is going to come in. There's not many people that can last 130k hit. The only reason Abbess is not dead right now is because I actually don't have enough crit rate in my build. That's just poor build. Nothing to do with the damage potential. I didn't hit a crit. Simple as that. So we absolutely sit down the enemy. 30 odd KA1. And it doesn't really matter what your opponent is. So if we was to run it this way, 3 speed champions without a kind of cleanser, without someone that's going to strip buffs, what you can actually do is throw her decreased defense out there first. Even a decreased defense has just sat down 2 of them through shields. We then bide our time, wait to get back to our second ability. So we're kind of like just making sure we don't get shut down here. Obviously, I've got champions that allow me to do this, which is easier, to be fair. But then she comes in with the finishing slam dunk without any decreased defense down. Basically, not far off one-shotting them. But for me, I'd rather run her as the damage dealing last hitter than the decreased defense champion. I think that's where she's got the most potential. But she certainly can kick out a decent amount of damage, and her kit is very interesting now. Very interesting. So if we're against tanks, like this is like a full tank comp. Let's do something a bit different again. Sure he's built. Yeah. So if we're against a tank team like this, where Rotus is the only attack-based champion, this is where she can come in a bit clutch for you. So, you know, you basically do the same as what we've just been doing. Instead of going for extra speed now, I'm going to drop their turn meter. That's what Nephral's good for. So on our A3 against tanks, I can literally just come in and hit the slam dunk and sit down tanks as if they were attack-based champions. That's what that mechanic on our A3 does. An extra 30% defense, ignoring defense. So Savage Gear, Helm Smasher, and another 30% ignore defense means that bye-bye tanks. I think she's even better against tank champions, to be honest, than she is against standard champs. So Nephral can get his work done and job done. So for me, guys, her best spot is the arena. Another tank team here. I'll show you one more time. Her best spot is the arena. I do like her in dungeons as well. She's not stronger than like a Draco and all that type of stuff, you know. But she doesn't hit as hard as a Candrathon. Let's be honest here. She's not the top of the meta. But you know, we've got another tank team here. Krisk is hard to kill. Sifi we know is hard to kill. There's no decreased defense out there. What's she gonna do? She sits down the Arbiter. She pretty like, what, 3/4 healths the Krisk and half healths the Sifi. So, you know, no slouch in terms of damage. We're going to try and stun these up, which we got. Then we can just finish them off. And she can come in and say, I've got another ability that hits hard, and down they go. So yeah, Abbess, really good champion now. The buff was, like, I'd say one of the most perfect buffs they've done. They improved her decreased defense. They gave her a bit more damage on the A3. And she now hits hard. And yeah, for me, she's a really, really solid champion. Yowza. 5 of those packs available. Money, money, money. Anyway, guys, I've been Hell Hades. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you got a best, give us some love. I'll catch you later.